An interview with artist, Nestor Avalos. Within the community of arcane artists, it's almost certain you'll find the works of Nestor Avalos, some amongst the shelves of those seeking knowledge within the depths of darkness. Nestor has been influenced by sensational magazines' articles, occultists, periodic reading of mythological histories, and cartoon characters, such as horror films, Real Contact, and Development. Within his own transformation and time of personal isolation, Nestor focuses on his inner emotional and spiritual progression, manifesting this through his works of arte. Through a series of editorial houses, magicians and heavy metal bands give Nestor has the opportunity to participate in his works as an illustrator and renowned artist within the occult community. In my interview with Nestor, I aim to reveal a little more than his works but the man himself. Mona, Nestor, thank you for giving me this interview. You're one of the busiest artists these days, and I really love our short videos showcasing your work. Can you share what inspires some of your best work? First, thanks to you, Mona, and all the people who support this artistic project. My inspiration is everything: love, hate, joy and sadness, beauty and ugliness. But with the time the most powerful influence turned and focused into Magick, the artes, principally into the left hand, the crooked one, a new world was revealed to me into a pretty difficult time in my life, matter of life and death. Magick brings another sense to this finite journey into the material reality, gives a connection with something bigger, divine, something beyond the boundaries created by men. Something where everything it'll return. Mona, there is a depth behind your work. Your quote within one of your descriptions of yourself is, "A soul that constantly walks in the exile of the world of men." I'm sure there's an audience out there curious of your background within the artes. Would you mind unveiling some of who Nestor Avalos is? You're much of a mystery. Well, the phrase explains itself in the same phrase. I'm a regular man, like everybody else. I think that people who decide to walk into their own path created by their own real convictions always have a frontal confrontation with the world created by men, their social conditions in life, this infusion of the obscenity of apathy, their patterns about how to live, how to feel, how to love, how we could be considered worthy into the brainless mass. This confrontation gets harder and painful, making a wound in this fragile part of our human condition, feelings, creating by moments emotions of weakness, loneliness, sadness, misunderstood, etc., emotions that confront yourself against your own integrity. But this is when the development of consciousness of your being, the I, and the discernment that exists in other higher energies, planes, universes of possibilities waiting to be created in our hands, turns dramatically the ons of our perception, developing the strength to reborn from the ashes and walk once again into your own path that leads us into the unknown. It's when magic, knowledge, wisdom, and devotion turn into the mechanism to create this force, this fuel, the fire that empowers us above matter. Mona, artists are identified by their technique and style, but with many of the artists working with the various book authors, this may be altered to collaborate with the message within the book, yet your work seems to remain consistent. Please correct or agree. Totally agree. It's quite hard to represent and manifest in a graphical way the message that the book, the writers, and the forces into these needs to be developed correctly for the lector or practitioner, and this of course influences the technique applied in the art. But always I try to keep a certain style in the art piece that makes a difference among this enormous world or magnificent artists that inspires and challenge me to be better, something that could yell, "It's a Nestor piece of art." Mona, many don't realize that art is multidimensional. It's not about the medium/media presented, far more beyond that. In fact, there is an element of art that many authors haven't even touched. What are you ultimately conveying in the works of Nestor Avalos within the Black Artes? This project started with a rediscovery of my own being. At the beginning, it was just a hobby, a primitive act of blasphemy and liberation, but at one point of this journey became a compromise acquired with my devotion to that, my own personal beliefs. Every piece has its own personality, its own characteristics that make them unique, and personally, I want that the art speaks by itself, entities represented to speak by themselves. Messages and symbolism in the art must be decoded by the spectator, and the meaning has to be different for each person, and the act of communion between them, like Alan Moore said in his documentary The Mindscape of Alan Moore. It's the job of the artist to give the audience what they need. It could be the small push to jump into the fire, leaving their fear behind. Mona, projects? Projects, projects. I know you're in Mexico, Nestor. I didn't ask how well your path within the darker artes is received, and with that, what can you share with the world about the project of tomorrow? I cannot say that Mexican society accepts very well a different way to express your own spirituality, even though we are in the 21st century, so I try to maintain a low profile, but the internet could say the opposite because now everything it's public judge. I'm working right now on a trilogy with the amazing writer Matthew Whiteman for the editorial house Eon Sophia Press, and also with Gilles de Laval with the same editorial house. Recently saw the light of the book Sabiti, Mesopotamian Magic and Demonology Introduction by Michael W. Ford, where I collaborate with two pieces in this work, also the re-edition of The Pillars, Perichoresis by Anathema Publishing, and one commissioned art paint for my dear brother Edgar Kervil. It's what I could consider new into the editorial world. Also, I'm making some print editions for sale, hope, and in the non-distant future concrete the clothesline and look for some editorial house interested in editing a book of my art, who knows. Thanks for the interview, all my gratitude to you and the people who gather into this black flame spark. Live in chaos/burn in freedom.